The 2024 U.S. Pro Road Race Championships that's going to be held in Charleston, West Virginia, features some really cool things, some neat dynamics, some things that are unique to the city, some things that tie the city together. One of the first things that riders are going to encounter is a South Side Bridge here. And this connects downtown to the south side part of the city, but it also starts one of the noteworthy climbs of the race. So you go across the South Side Bridge and it starts to climb, and then you're going to get dumped into the Bridge Road climb. And that's where we are here. And this climb is really steep. It really will take riders off guard. They're going to just smack them right in the face to start with. This climb starts out at double-digit gradients. We're talking 10, 12%. You're going to see riders, for you analytical nerds out there, you're going to see riders at 5.5, 6, maybe 6.5 watts per kilogram, putting out that type of power. So really, really high power outputs. From the casual fan observing this, what you're going to see is you're going to see riders, draped over their handlebars, just trying to get up this climb. Getting up this climb is one thing. Racing up it is another. So this is going to be a really fun and interesting spot to watch the race. A lot of moves will happen here. A lot of people will launch attacks on this part of the climb. And then you're going to be able to hit that road there that we just passed on the left to go over to the other side of the course and see riders come down the Loudon Heights loop. But we'll get to that in a minute. But right now we're on this climb. This climb is really steep from when you turn on Bridge Road, or when the race turns on Bridge Road, to when you get to the top of this climb, or we'll call it the flat part of the climb, the end of the steep section. It's going to take riders 3.5 minutes to get there. It's really steep. Early on in the race, you're going to see riders kind of spread across the road, kind of sizing up the climb, trying to see how hard, how long this climb really is. Of course, they will have pre-ridden it, but pre-riding it and racing are two different stories. They're going to be looking at their competition, seeing what gear they're in, watching their body language, and just taking observation of how long, how hard is this climb. It's really going to wear riders down over the course of the ride, over the course of the race. But you're going to see a lot of really cool attacks, massive attacks in the later laps of the race. Early on, I don't expect to see much other than some maybe early breakaway, people trying to get on TV. But for the for the latter part of the race, this is going to be an awesome opportunity for people to really launch their attack. Now, as you come over the steep part of this climb, where we are now, it'll level out and actually go downhill for a minute. So we go through the shops, we go through the pubs, we go through the restaurants here, and this is from a racer standpoint, it's a breath of fresh air. It's, oh my gosh, the pain is over, right? I can relax, I can catch my breath early on in the race. Later on in the race, this is going to be single file strung out. The racing is going to be on. The racers are not going to be letting up. But early in the race, it's going to regroup a little bit. Now, if you compare this to races in the past, say like a Philadelphia U.S. Pro Championship, you would go up Manayunk Wall, you would turn, make a couple turns, and you go straight back down. Well, what's unique to Charleston is that's not the case. We go up the climb, you get a little bit of a break, but then you're climbing again. And there's not a true straight up, straight down descent on anywhere on this course, but particularly the South Hills version of the South Hills loop, right? So now we're meandering back up, we're continuing the climb, and it's a little more shallow here. It's anywhere from 2 to 4, maybe 5% grade, as you're just kind of meandering around the South Hills district, and you're going to kind of do another little stair step as you're kind of getting to or rounding over to the downhill section of the course. So this section of the South Hills loop, the Bridge Road climb, is deceptively steep. As we all know, cameras don't really do gradients justice. But here it's starting to kick back up, and we're going to come to a little bit of a point where the climb is going to feel like it ends. We're going to kick up to this intersection, and racers are going to feel like, okay, great, the climb is over. And well, that's just not the case. So the racers are going to have a 20 or 30 second little downhill here, probably grab a sip of water, and then just really try to carry their momentum. So a minute ago, I was talking about how there's not a true straight up, straight down, downhill, climb and downhill on this Charleston course. Kind of like some of the previous races have had it. Here's a nice little kicker. You think that you're ready for the downhill. You think the downhill's coming. It's just not there. So you're going to have another 20, 30 second kicker taking you out towards Loudon Heights. So you're going to turn left, or the racers are going to turn left and go down Loudon Heights. But again, it's not just a quick downhill. The racers are going to try to get back up to speed. And even on this downhill, there's going to be a lot of pedaling. There's no point where it goes, okay, great. Like I just climbed for 4 or 5 minutes. Now I'm going to get this nice downhill. The downhill comes in sections. It's an awesome downhill. These racers are going to have full road closure. They're going to be able to go left to right, right to left, use the whole road, really nail these switchbacks and these turns, carrying a lot of speed. But those don't last very long because you're going to come across this bridge. You go left into the bridge, right over the bridge, and then you have another kicker. It doesn't look like much, but it is. It gets you out of your groove. It makes you go, oh gosh, I wish I was going downhill. The climb, it just kind of keeps giving and giving and giving. It's not a bunch of a climb, but after having climbed for so long and wanting a little bit of a rest, you're just not going to get it. Now here, you're at the top of the last little bit of a riser, and now you're going to get a descent. But we're talking a minute or less. After all of that climbing, you're not going to get a ton of rest. So you're going to come out of this big sweeper. And now here you're going to see racers hitting speeds of 50, maybe even 60 miles an hour. It is just as fast as they can go. You're going to have a nice long straightaway here to really kind of catch your breath. But then the nerves are going to kick in. Now remember, these are professional athletes. They're going to have this course dialed in. For the casual cyclist, for the amateur cyclist, some of these turns here may be a little bit sketchy. As off on the right of the camera, it's sheer cliff, right? You can see Charleston off in the distance. Now in May, probably going to have leaves in the trees, so you're not going to get to see as much. But believe me, that's a straight cliff. So we're going down Loudon Heights here, and just in the distance there, you can see where the climb on Bridge Road is, right? So that's where the loop starts. So the racers are going to come down, make a hard right turn. They're going to be screeching, flying across here. Then they're going to go back across the Southside Bridge, carrying a ton of speed. At the end of the Southside Bridge, now they're going to zigzag through downtown and then come over to the boulevard. So they're going to come across this, absolutely flying, and then right-hand turn, and then go down a couple blocks, left-hand turn onto the boulevard.